Hello, and welcome to LC's Newsplex. My name is Brianna, and these are my colleagues.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Lindsay.
Hello, guys. So the topic we're going to cover today is groups. A group is two or more people who interact with one another and influence one another. Ever since we were young, we were told to work with people and collaborate ideas and be a part of a group. We were told that a group is better than working alone, and groups are much more efficient than individuals. But what if we were wrong this whole time?
Yes, this is possible because there has been a report that a bad group epidemic is sweeping across Lynchburg College's campus.
Yeah, I heard this the other day. Supposedly, students are getting placed into groups that aren't well organized.
Yes, Nick. Every student that I've spoken to at Lynchburg College says that they've experienced this bad group epidemic at least once. You may be a victim of this if you are experiencing any of the following symptoms.
All of these symptoms are represented in many different types of groups on Lynchburg College's campus. The bad group epidemic is affecting groups ranging from small class projects to varsity sports teams to large organizations on campus. First, we'll look at students who have experienced this growing problem within our schools. Would you say that you've had more good group experiences or bad group experiences?
I would say bad group experiences.
Okay, well, would you like to explain one of those?
I'd say my worst one was probably my sophomore year. It was a history class. And as a group presentation, I had 3 other group members, and we were required to meet outside of class. And I would schedule the times and whatnot. I kind of took the initiative upon myself to organize everything. When the times came around, though, none of the group members would show up. I'd text them. They'd give me their excuses. And, they emailed me some of the project, as far as presentation slides or PowerPoint, but I put everything together and kind of edited everything, and then, kind of changed their wording around just because it didn't really make sense the way they had it. So it was really me doing all the work.
Freshman year, we had to do a Biz Cafe simulation, and it was all online. We had to run our own coffee shop, and no one in my group showed up, and I did the whole thing by myself.
Okay, and what did you do after the project?
Well, after the project, we had to evaluate everyone, and because no one showed up, because we had to meet outside of class and inside class, or during class time, we had to evaluate everyone, and I gave everyone zeros except for this one girl. I gave her 10 points because she got pregnant, and I felt bad.
Okay, and did everybody know that everybody's getting graded?
Mm-hmm. Everyone knew we were going to evaluate it, but they all thought, because a lot of the people in my group were friends, so they just thought that, we'll just negotiate and figure out a grading. We'll create a pact to have the same grade. I was because each group had a designated team leader, and the teacher randomly picked someone, and that was me. So I think they just figured, since the teacher picked her, she could just do everything.
In Brandon's interview, he described social loafing. Social loafing is people who exert less effort within a group when there is no individual accountability. For example, when Brandon said his group members wouldn't email him back and didn't show up for the meetings and made their excuses, that was an example of social loafing.
To go off social loafing, free riders are members who do not put effort into the group but benefit from the group. This was demonstrated in Jess's video when her group members did not help her with the project and received the same grade as she did.
So also seen in Jess's situation, although her group members were free riders, evaluation apprehension was displayed. Evaluation apprehension is concern for how others will grade you. And although they didn't contribute to the group, they were all aware that they were being graded. Thus, they made the pact to grade each other well.
And then finally in the videos, we see examples of task leadership. Now, task leadership is defined as leadership that organizes work, sets standards, and focuses on goals. For example, in the 2 interviews that we have, Brandon, in the first one, was the one who scheduled the times during the meetings, and he also organized the PowerPoints for his group. Jess, on the other hand, finalized everything for the group and acted as the computer controller, putting together the whole PowerPoint. Both of these people epitomized what a task leader would be.
While working on a class project, problems within the group may be more apparent than those that present themselves in a larger group setting, such as on a varsity sports team. Can you tell me what is one of your best or worst team experiences as a coach or player?
Sure. I'll talk about being a coach. Probably The worst experience is when you have a member on the team and they do not understand the exact policies of what we're doing and where we're going. And as a leader, you want the best for each individual. But sometimes you have to put the team first in that category. And so the hardest thing is letting go of a player when they don't fit in the team mold or it's not where the team is going. And so I've had to do that one time here in my second year here, and that was probably the hardest situation that I ever had to do is to let that person go in order to put the team first in that situation. But ultimately, it was the best decision.
Okay, so Coach Logan, what in your opinion makes a team?
I think in our instance for women's basketball, a team is when all the girls on the team come together and they put aside anything personal and they're willing to go above and beyond for the good of the team. They do everything together, and they see each other for what they're worth. Even the smallest roles they appreciate. And
Transformational leadership is leadership that, enabled by leaders' vision and inspiration, exerts significant influence. Coach Pizek displayed this when she had to let a player go due to their lack of effort in helping their group reach its goal. Coach Pizek had a specific vision in which this player was not fulfilling. Thus, Coach Pizek had to let this player go.
Also in the coach interviews, there were examples of de-individuation. Now, de-individuation is defined as the loss of self-awareness, which occurs in group situations that foster responsiveness to group norms, whether being good or bad. As we heard in the interview, Coach Logan stressed a definite emphasis on working as a singular, cohesive family unit. Now, when you want to work well together as a team, the individual players need to leave their personal issues at the door. Only when they do this, they're able to work well together.
During Coach Pizek's interview, she also displays a phenomenon called groupthink. Groupthink is when the in-group tends to find their group's thinking more important than any alternative act. When Coach Pizek decides to let a player go that was not fitting in, she displayed this. She thought the team would be more successful without that specific person. She thought the team's vision was more important than keeping a player on the team that was interfering with their progress.
Right. So after Coach Pizek let that team member go, group polarization occurred. And what group polarization is the enhancement of pre-existent tendencies within the group, and it avoids having a split in between the group. So this was seen throughout the team because the girls' views on putting the team first became stronger, and there wasn't a team member that opposed the group again.
These phenomena are not limited to sports teams, but we have also found evidence of them occurring in even larger groups such as Res Life.
On staff, do you think people are more likely to write an incident report or a violation when they're working with someone or when they're working alone?
That's a tough question. I'd have to revert back to, I guess, my own time as an RA. I think that I was more likely to write one when I was working with someone, mostly because there was that accountability piece. Someone else saw what I saw too, and they kind of were there to help me with any of the details I didn't remember, or help write portions of it, or just kind of be that person to say, actually, you need to write this. So I think, yeah, 2 people or more than 1 person, probably more likely.
So in the video we just watched, the phenomenon present is known as social facilitation, or otherwise a tendency of people to perform well-learned tasks better when others are present. RAs are more likely to write an incident report when they're held accountable by another person. Therefore, Res Life requires that 2 people are on duty during the weekends because more incidents tend to occur.
We also see this on the basketball team. On the basketball team, when we tend to perform better at home games when we have more fans on our side than we do when we're at away games and they're more of their fans and less of ours.
This is also seen in Greek life. I was just elected as vice president membership, and I know that I'm less likely to procrastinate now and get things done because I have 45 other women holding me accountable.
For me, as a member of Greek Life as well, I was just elected the vice president of finance. In my speech, I gave a rebuttal against the question as to whether I would have enough time to dedicate to my position given my workload and given my extracurricular activities. I responded that, of course, I would definitely have enough time to perform my duties because I'm being held accountable as well. Definitely with the finances of a fraternity, when someone is put in a position where there are deadlines for getting certain documents in, you will rise to the occasion to perform.
This is also seen within our group. I know that since I had 3 other people holding me accountable for my performance, I performed better on task. We actually all went the extra mile like once or twice throughout the semester. We created vocabulary lists before media assignments, but we never once voiced to do that or asked someone to do that. So that just showed that when other people hold you accountable, you're going to perform better as an individual.
We've discussed a variety of groups today, however, we haven't discussed the roles within a group. One of the most important components of a group is a leader. A leader can either hold the group together or make them fall apart. Throughout our interview process, we've seen many different levels of leadership, and we actually had the opportunity to speak to a man who's been acting as a leader for many years.
During our previous discussions, one may feel that bad groups are inevitable. However, there is hope. Here are some steps leaders can take to increase the chances of group success. Let's hear it from the man himself.
Sit down, shut up, let me get through this information because you're going to hear it. People have to understand what's the purpose of the meeting. Stay on task. You need to communicate what is your agenda, what is the purpose of the meeting, very clearly. Managing that meeting. Make sure that you engage everybody. Meetings need to have a time limit to them. Lastly, I should say, you ought to try to have fun. I mean, you got to be able to screw around.
Are bad groups inevitable?
No.